Hey, what's up? Just coming with another video. Um, I want to follow up with a few points and then wrap up like some points and then make just a little bit of an adjustment for the channel. Like I've said in some other videos, I'm making these like a lot of the content I make, I'm making it like as a body of work that it has like references to itself, and then it's just available to the general public on YouTube as videos. Both the things that I make as videos, but then also like the lives. And so I'm gonna make the live whether or not, until or not, and as and not there be people. And so if someone landed here, I wouldn't be talking directly to you because I don't know who you are, or that who or how many people are in at once, and how long people are, or what people engagement or background with like the content on this channel or just in general. So I'm just gonna keep talking, but nothing I say at any point on this platform is personal. And that might be a deeper thing. Is like how much do we actually take our online interactions personal, where having, like, you imagine like like stay off the internet like that, or you gotta be really crazy and reckless to like to you gotta be really crazy and reckless to do certain things on the internet and say certain things. But also, how superficial is the internet? Like, you get in the internet and somebody cuss you out in a chat room. Damn, if I don't throw away my whole life just to get back at that person there. But it only has meaning because you understood yourself. Whatever your handle in a chat room is, it probably exists like as a number and a code, like user da 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 da. Oh, that must be me because I put my name on there. Then somebody engages with that user other da 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 da, and then engage with you. But really, it's just all it would, if you didn't identify it, it'd be very superficial, because you could probably care less about what somebody's posting in some form right now about some subject, if it's, generally speaking, if it's not like actually communicating like actionable information. But that person would say that about what represents me. And I'm just saying, like, the identification makes it different. But a lot of things are a lot of things in life there are actually that superficial and almost like less than petty, until we would believe in it, identify with it, and then maybe interface with it, and then it become more than real. It's like, in some ways the internet can be realer than the streets, and is the streets. But in some ways it's also just a superficial thing that doesn't matter until a person would make it matter. But I just want to say that nothing on this channel is personal towards anyone, because I don't know anybody, and I damn near don't even know myself. I don't mean to like draw like as cast aspersions with that, or draw critique with that to say that I don't know myself. But I was talking to someone really deep, a really insightful person that was very knowledgeable. Like, some people have come on this channel and be like, yeah, man, like, this is like a low IQ person talking, and it's like, I'm like, hey, he's telling me a low IQ, but I met this dude that was just like, damn, that person actually knows like a lot about a lot of stuff. But he was saying, man, you should look into, you should, I'd be interested what you would have to say about something called epistemology. If you looked into that, you could really appreciate that. And he may not have known that I had already come across that word. So when I asked, I said, do you mean like the theory of knowledge? Is that what you mean, epistemology? 'Cause I think that's what that's literally called. He said, well, I mean, like, it means like what is knowable, what do we know, and what can we know. That's a deep thing that he said there. Is like, what he's saying is like, I respect your mind, and I think that you should look into one of the most profound and sublime subjects that a human being can look into, which is epistemology. But he may have been interchanging that a little bit with existentialism, because existentialism is it's a tier of psychology. It refers to a tier of psychology that flirts with, that approaches the subject of what is it that we are, and how are we, and where are we, and when are we, who are we. I won't say the other W that goes with that, because I think that's a little bit arbitrary. Because when you say why, if you were to say why, that's a little bit of judgment, because why implies purpose, but also it sounds ultimate. Like, why the hell did you do that, man? When you say why, it's like, no, what are the reasons you did that, man? What are all the reasons you did that for, man? It's actually more accurate, but more humane, is that there's many reasons for anything, and anything has a lot of reasons. And even if you did something for one reasons, the externalities of that, which means like that byproduct and aftermath, after effect, they are cascading and transcendent. Such as, once something is a better way to say than to act is to say to initiate, because nothing may occur in a straight line in nature, we're still in nature, even with our idealism that we overlay upon nature. So at no point, even in our man-made paradigms and structures, are we linear. And whatever we would make linear, that we think linear, you could probably break it down and reason it to be less than linear, and or it itself will break down when it comes into contention with the real demands and rigors that are existing, that are less than, that are not linear. Therefore, nothing linear, I don't think, most would be viable. But then when I say thing, no thing, that's singular. So I'm saying in a plural existence, we have two of most things: two eyes, two brains, two nostrils, two thoughts about different things, two feelings about different things, different. We're dual on a lot of levels. So that we would be singular about anything other than maybe freedom. But even that too, like, is it freedom or freedoms? Do we in America do we have freedom or do we have freedoms? And do we have more of freedom, or would we have more of freedom for simply having freedom, or do we have more of what's called freedom for having freedoms? But if you say why this, why that, that actually you may not appreciate that it's actually argumentative. If you say, hey, why? Also, if you say always, never, it sounds ultimate, because if you say you always do that, what you're saying is that in this many iterations of your behavior, you do this singular thing. You never do that. And this many opportunities to do these things, you always choose not to do this thing, or you always have this negative, not negative as in bad, but you always have this less than affirmative choice when given these choices. That is, you never do that. So it's actually singular. Why do you do that, man? Why you always gotta do now? That's double singular. That's even more argumentative. Why you always gotta do that, man? You're limiting that person, thereby you're arguing with them, thereby you're fighting with them, thereby you're condemning with. If you condemn anyone anyhow, you are fighting slash arguing. And probably fighting is a different degree of arguing, because even when people are fighting, they're actually kind of arguing like that. And when you're arguing, you know that you're not far away from blows, you're actually in the midst of blows. And sometimes the exchanges of arguing can be heavier and lead to heavier things than blows, but not least of which blows. But I'm pointing, maybe highlighting a nuance, is that what may be damning about or condemning. And I think, and if you actually go back, I would wonder if damn and condemn don't mean the same thing. Damn it! If you actually reduce what many people say, right, in their laughter, in their relating, in their associating, in their lovemaking, they're saying, damn it, 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 damn him, damn her, damn them, damn it. Damn me too sometimes. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. Then it's not gonna work. And also, I haven't looked into all the ways, but probably, based on my fiat education, probably that's not gonna work. That's probably gonna go bust. Probably. And I can't even see what that fool's been taking a shower for 15 minutes. I bet after 15 minutes, he had to be butt ass naked by now. But after 15 minutes of taking a shower, he'd have to be naked by now. What the hell is he doing naked in the shower? He's probably I did it probably. And since he would do that, he's probably also the worst there probably ever. And also, because he talked like that, he would probably have to at one time also said that to another medical establishment that probably would have had to put his ass on medication by the way he's behaving, because I don't know him or whatever provider he would talk to, but I know that most providers can't stand anything that would talk of his own auspices, of his own volition, of his own authority, less than authority, or even pretexts or supposition that would make you deign to think that you would be worthy to express yourself among peers, even though we're under that which is not as respected person, but that you would also deign to speak to other people that serve and pay homage to and are observant of that which is not a respected person, just that they're more respectable even than yourself, Mr. Person, sir. You would have to probably have been once placed on medication of some kind. But what kind of medication would he be on, Mr. Sir? And I say, well, actually, it's not actually what's more concerning what medication you're on, because that's actually is a form of violence, interpersonal violence, to change someone from within. It's bad enough to slap someone in the face, upside the face, but it's more so to change them from within. But more so, I had always appreciated Friend Flintstone's vitamins when I was very young. I like Friend Flintstone's vitamins, especially the red ones weren't bad. The orange ones were simply delicious. The green ones were a little bit strange, but they actually seemed healthy even to a child. This weird, strange vitamin with this weird texture. And as you would take that as a child, it's not quietly delicious. It's not bad. It's reminiscent of the Flintstones, and ostensibly stamped by the Flintstones. I don't know if they had RX, if they call Apothecary RX that far back in the Flintstone, with Roman no less. But you can appreciate that you're doing something very wholesome and very beneficial with Flintstones vitamins, which is also your choice. So nobody can mock you for something if it's your choice. But somebody can get you to do something against your will, against your own volition, no more less than to ingest something. One of the most egregious things, one of the most strongest statements you can make would be to actually override someone's choice, whether through cooperation, or whether through intimidation, force, or even cooperation, which can be a deeper degree of intimidation and force when it has to do with manipulation and influence to get someone to cooperate to do something that's not in their best interest, such as to consume something. Because when you consume something, it actually reaches to the deepest part of you because it's being ingested from you, and you are creating yourself from the inside out the whole time, and you're also relating and bonding to what you would choose by consuming it over your tongue apparatus. But once it gets within you, that's going to change you from the inside out, from the most fundamental core, irrevocably sometimes. But also, you had to and had at least participated on some level to ingest it, which makes it a very deep and solemn thing, almost near about spiritual. And then, so a lot of people, they won't simply respect you once you had ever been in a position and cornered, likely. And they're also thinking that if you are taking medication, hey, take your medication, buddy. If you're taking your medication, likely now you may not have entirely choice in it, or when you're prescribed it, you didn't have a choice or understanding what you did, but you still yet did it and still yet do it. So you're not actually to be respected because you're yet putting something down your mouth that's going to change you with or without your consent. But you're also a little bit foolish to do such a thing, because anybody should know that too much of even a good thing is bad for you, even a chronically prescribed medication like that. But I don't see anything wrong with flexion. But and in that entire time, you can actually more so scientifically prove a mental obstruction as mental health goes, generally speaking. So what you would have to be doing is a professional opinion now, but a lot of opinion is actually hearsay and also conjecture, and sometimes a little bit of like a little bit of it's a little bit of prognosticating. That is, you're speaking over the truth, or you're looking into you're cherry picking parts of the past, or you're glossing over parts of the past and or present, and or cherry picking and or prognosticating into the future based on your limited understanding of the present and past. That you actually make hyperbolic statements based on your preconceived and limited training and the scope of training, intent of training, and the actual some of the cultural and personal limitations of your training. Then also you had a preconception of the outcome of yourself, your vocation, and all the people that you would meet, such as that you introduce a lot of probability into your appraisal of another person. And it amounts to a form of hearsay and gossip that's very wicked. And most gossip, without an actual confession, whether or not the confession had been prompted ethically, but most confessions aren't actually ethical, because nobody business what you had chose like that, unless you're like relating like in terms of intimacy. But if you actually can't see all of someone's past, their present, and surely not their future, not even the weatherman can see the future. All the weatherman can do is introduce probability into prognosticate current conditions and anticipate the future. But if you could really appreciate current conditions, you realize that everyone's beautiful and nobody has to be changed from without, according to another person's standard. And no one can also be understood to another person's standard, nor understand themselves to another person's standard, because to do so is violent and limitation, because it's also arrogant, because you may not experience another person's experience because it's not yours to, it's not your prerogative to experience another person's experience, not to speak for another person's experience, not even if they were your own nearest of kin and descendant, or even progenitor. It is no to no one to experience for another person, or to suffer for another person, or to serve duty for another person, or to judge another person's choices like that, or even some of their choices in speech, if they're not making outright threat. With a threat is an action, but if you haven't taken the far to make an outright threat against yourself and another person, it's to anyone to be anything, and it's also not to anyone else to prognosticate and gloss over, and therefore make fact out of what had not been fact or not been certain like that. But that's actually a little bit of epistemology right there. And so what my friend was saying is that you should look into epistemology like that. And I was saying that, epistemology is reminiscent of existentialism. And my family member had been a saturated, highly esteemed, non-tenured but still adjunct professor at some of your higher your venues of higher education. He had been recruited from the university to a more so of a elite Jesuit school in the north. And when I met one of his professors, a very famous professor who is a brilliant man, we spent time at a party at one of the Thanksgiving parties after. So, and I said that, man, by this time I had always wondered, like, how are some people able to keep their composure in different circumstances with different degrees of diet, and other people actually lose their stuff like that. And he said, well, they just said they're at a different place existentially. It's just that where their understanding of where they are, how they are, when they are, who they are, how they are. And I personally deign to admit why, because it's limiting and singular, therefore argumentative, invoking argument. It's to yours to decide who and what, how you exist like that. But actually, existentialism and epistemology are a little bit interchangeable like that, because it both is to what is to know, but also what is to be. And can we be without knowing, and can we know without being? So I'm saying, and I had said, I actually referenced some of my own material, not to be self-plagiarizing, but to say that, you know, so if you now exist, right? If you're now alive, right? You are, so when do we actually exist? When do we exist? Do we exist in the year 2000 something? 2000 of what? Since what? But what came before that? Would it had a so if you're saying that there had been dinosaurs upon the earth that were at least since the Jurassic period. The Jurassic was not even the oldest in the Creocene, then anything, whatever, the grass not even the but at least since the Jurassic period. If we just want to just to be specific, since the Jurassic period is many millions of years, maybe hundreds of many. So you had to say I don't know exactly, but I would imagine Jurassic period maybe we say between 200 and 400 million years ago. Roughly, says to me, it's also your guess is good as mine. It's all is your guess is good as mine, but also your fact is good as mine. As that goes, so 200 million to 400 million years. How many times does 2000? So 2000 goes into 100,000, 50 times. Wait, no, 2000 into 100,000. So 50. So 50, 11, 100,000, 50, 11 million times. So 50 goes into a 50. 2000 goes into 100,000 50 times. That means it would go into 1,500,000 times. 500 times 1,000, because 1,000 millions is no, I'm sorry, 1,000, 100 millions is 100 million. So if it's 500 times to make 500 iterations of 2,000, 500 messiahs, life, legacies on Earth, roughly since the year 2000, Y2K, that didn't happen. That was also prognosticated to happen. Five, no, 500 times of 2,000 times 100. 500 times 100 is 5,000. So it takes 5,000 iterations of so we had someone called Messiah that had a story that's been inspiring people for 2,000 years. It would take 500. Wait, 500 times of that is a million. 500 times 100 is 5,000. It take 10,000. So what we have now for 2,000 years, it would actually take 10,000 of that to get to the latter end of the Jurassic period. But it took as much of that while yet already in the Jurassic period to get to 400 million years. If I'm saying roughly Jurassic period, 400, 200 million years ago. So what does 2,000 mean anything in that scope of existing? Which the Jurassic part isn't necessarily the stop or start of anything, because there's at least a sequel to that. There's a prequel. There's a sequel and there's a trilogy to that, but also there have probably been iterations of what it means to exist before the Jurassic Park, as long as the Jurassic Park. So what is 2000 worth anything? But how and when and where may we exist? According to Arthur Avalon, there's no. So as I'm looking for, if I were to shake someone's right, if I so if I want to if I want to grade somebody, I actually can't, for the life of me, I can't actually I can't actually neatly broad hand smack somebody upside their right cheek with my right hand. I can't do so, because if I go to slap someone like that, I haven't slapped someone, but I've seen it done before. I felt, what I'm saying. If I were to slap somebody with my broad hand, the most I can do is slap the right side of somebody's face. I can't actually I mean the left side of someone's face. For as much as my right-handedness, as much as this is a right-handed world and geared towards righties, I can't reach out and slap someone across the right side of their face, broad hand like that, rawhide, broad hand like that. I'm not sure if that's a slap or a smack, because to get to their right side, I would have to come around like that. So, what's my righty tighty, lefty goosey? No, lefty goosey, righty tighty. Because as I go to your right, it's to your left like that. So I'm saying is that a lot of things are relative to position. They're relative to your frame of reference. Maybe even your eyeballs are like that too. Because how is it that it appears one way right here seems far away, and right here seems close, and your is your eye, but also you could say that all things are connected, right? All things are unified. So how does it go from here to here? Are our eyes not some form of prism? That's how you could make, so if you could, so they say that light has all the colors in it, right? So light from the sun, anything that, so the meaning of light of any, so like things don't have color in themselves. They have color by contrasting the light. So what I'm wearing on my head is not necessarily pink. It contrasts light such as to betray the color pink. So heaven forbid, if someone were to not to like what someone else is wearing, like some people don't like when I wear pink, you're actually not having a problem with what I'm wearing or me for wearing it, because I'm not wearing it. I'm wearing something that gives contradistinction, that is contrast, that is less pure, therefore contradistinction, contrast to whatever source of light. It's actually the light that you have a problem with. If you have a problem with the color pink, you have a problem with the effect that looks like pink to you, that is a property of what you're calling light. So whatever you would like better than pink is actually not different than pink because it's both the same light. But versus whatever I have on, it would appear that range of what's already unified in total. And so for something to be expressed, for there to be anything called pink, like some of the chats here, they appear purple. For purple to have any meaning or any viability, there would have to be the possibility of pink, and also pink is latent and imminent within purple. There are probably over and undertones of pink within purple if you were to break it down how it would look on a spectrum like that. Same thing with sound, because sound, that's how sound exists, like over and undertones as would make harmony, but also like color is like that too. Is that as below, as above, so below, as within, so without, as left, so right, as before, as now, as ever. So as little as more, as more as little, as less as somewhat less, and somewhat more. So there would be, could be, is no anything without also anything. But whatever anything is, it is an express manifest version that has meaning supported by, in contrast to, whether imminent or latent, the viability of something else also. So so all things have some another thing in them, but so I'm just saying that our eyes may be like some form of a prism, and that's how we could have. That's how we can get all the colors out the spectrum. It's not that. It's not only that there are that many colors that exist, but also that there are that many angles within our the prism that our eyes are. Um, but so I was just like, so what I was saying is that, so if you're born now, right? So you're hey man, do you know? Hey man, why don't you act your damn age? Okay, what is my age? What is actually my age? Someone say like, "Hey man, what's your age, man?" A better question. A lot of times when people ask you what your age is, your first, it's interesting, right? Sometimes you don't look at things. When somebody asks you how old you are, your first instinct likely is, how old do you think I am? I bet you a lot of people would say that, both minors and adults. When somebody asks you how old, hey, how old are you? What you really want to know, you actually almost want to answer that question back, because actually a question is a little bit offensive. So actually an offensive offense, it draws a parry. So you sometimes, some things you actually make you want to ask the question right back. How old am I? How do I look like? That might be how old you actually are. How old do you look like and seem like maybe what you are? Because what you seem like is as much as what, how can what you are be different than what you seem like? Think about that. Do you look young, or are you young that you would look young? Do you look something else, and are you something else that you would look something else? How may you be appearing like you appear, and being like you would have to be to appear like you would be, but then say, "No, but I'm not actually that. I'm this other thing that this other person says, that this other person called me." I don't even remember being born. I wasn't actually having the experience of being born when I was born. I was just, then I piss on a doctor like that. I had enough wherewithal to piss on a doctor like that. Then I been in the board like that. I had a thing about the piss on a board like that. If I know I got a bit of, you look at me, I better a pin on another and a good on. You can't give yourself something. I say good on me, but I didn't know better than a pin on another. I've been born like that. But other than that, I didn't know who or where I was. I didn't know since before when I had been born before like that. But maybe even if I'm the something of an iteration of something that had became before the many iterations, maybe them too also, and that too also had not know when and whence and how. So actually, the real answer to epistemology and essentially maybe everybody know, everybody know. But I like to put I say everybody know, everyone know. No. I read it the whole thing. I read it the whole thing. Like to be different. They asked me if you want to ask me silly. I did it every final. Every final. But then if you know this, you do it them. The ask it every final. And I might do the better than finance and did it every final. Every final for. Now I try to seem over there. Now how do I see now? I'm there for. But I'm saying you might be actually, you're a better answer and a better understanding of how you are, how seasoned you are, how healthy you are, is when someone say how old are you, how old would I seem to be, how old do I feel like, also, but you have to feel like something to be convincing as that. But if you're managing yourself better, you may be actually looking and feeling better. May you actually be somewhat there, right, actually on par with, and in some iteration of being younger as you're looking and feeling better, younger that is. If you're limited and not getting again, and you're working on no hundred number, then we can you can't better, you don't feel like you're under the weather like that. Maybe you actually are a little bit, like that. So maybe actually you might actually teeter a little bit. Is that possible? Is it possible the entire Earth teeters and goes in a circle like that? According to Satoshi Bay, the Earth doesn't go in a circle around the sun; it eddies behind the sun. Maybe your actual real maturity, also your temperament, your state of mind, your seasoning, your experience, your skill, your state of health, your state of progression of health. That is your life. Progression sounds linear, but still your life, where you are in life, how old you may not be, it may actually teeter a little bit as you're managing that and experiencing that and enjoying that, and or not maybe what you really are. So it might not be. So just because two people were born like this, just because two people were born a couple of days before or after the same Super Bowl, or a couple months or before or after the Super Bowl, or a couple half a year before or after any given Super Bowl, it doesn't mean that they're existing the same way, that they're making the same decisions, that they're viable for the same things, that they've been through the same things, that they're about to go through the same things, that they could get through the same things, that they're good to go through more. So it's just arbitrary say, oh yeah, all your ass. So hey man, this is the first day of summer, and since all your ass are this da 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 da, then all your ass are da 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 da. Yeah, any age someone could say that, but I'm saying that I don't know like what's actually the age in life where it's good to go at that age. Because like a lot of time when you're young, like, I remember when I was less than 10, like there's some older kids in the community like, hey man, you're not even two numbers yet. Then you get over your teenager and you're like, dang, I remember when my little siblings, like, I remember, man, all they got to worry about is that fourth grade homework, man. They don't got to worry about this other stuff, negative numbers over here, this and that. Then you're grown, you got a job, now you got to worry about real negative numbers. But you're grown and stuff, you're over 18 and stuff, this and that, but you're still not all the way like feeling and looking like a grown ass man. I got your shit together like that, right? Necessarily like that. Then you get on a little bit and you're like, oh man, I'm about to be at the 30 like that. Am I getting on like that? Then you get on over past, but then you realize that it didn't matter like that because it was somebody else say, but it's how you look and feel, baby. All I'm finna say about it, baby. But I got like a lot of content, but that I wanted to keep going with. But so what I was wanting to say is that if you are so if you're alive now, right? So we say this is the year da 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 da. But if you're alive now, you're and you were born in the year da 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 da. So when you were born, right? So you were okay. So you spent appreciably, reasonably, arguably, conceivably 4 the very premature, heaven forbid, would be maybe I don't know, maybe 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to a lesser of 8 months in utero, right? Then if you may have been maybe what would be appreciated as normal would that can be probably I don't know if they say all things happen for a reason. So if all things happen for a reason, but you're upset that a child be born premature, could a person not also be born premature for a reason? Could there actually be a purpose to being born premature if all things do have a reason, as you would say it? I imagine most people watching this would ascribe that all things happen for a reason. Can a baby be born premature for a reason then? Can a person have a disposition that make other people cast aspersions, but they don't have a problem with it or experience a lack of health other than other people alienating them and ostracizing them for not understanding them, as they've done nothing wrong to those people or towards themselves? Could there be a purpose for that? But so you reasonably you spent 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 lesser than maybe at least close to up to or exactly about 9 months or a little bit more in utero, right? So by the time you were born, so when a baby is born, how old is that baby when they're born? Are they zero? Like there's a book called Zero, a controversial number by Pythagoras. It's about Pythagoras. He's credited with the musical scale. If you actually almost reverse engineer his statements about the musical scale, or appreciate harmony as the musical scale is understood in Western tonality, or understanding of tonality, you could actually appreciate a lot of color like that too. If you actually appreciated audio if you actually were sincere about studying audio, some of the principles of audio, it likely would have meaning in terms of color, and like maybe art and uh and uh um like style and things like that. Because that there's a probably it's actually a different range of the same some of the same, I bet a lot of the same mechanics and phenomena would exist versus musical harmony versus actually visual harmony. They might not actually be different as it would seem. A visual artist and a musical artist may not be as different as you think. If you appreciate the spectrum of color, the spectrum and range of frequencies for sound, and then what can be done with that and communicated with that and appreciated that and realized with that and rendered with that, it may not be entirely different. It may be different ranges of similar effect. That is what is with above with as above. It's actually alchemy. If you think about it, I talked to a sturdy person in my community that had a lot of experience in life. I'm not sure all of what or how his experience came from, but he had a lot of experience, and he's explaining that his understanding of alchemy is that in the older iterations of it, which I extrapolate may have given us some of our science, because it's appreciated that science wasn't tolerated under the church, but somehow science got to be tolerated. It may have been some of the breakthroughs of what had to be passed off as, but also was alchemy, with its above board and its more sincere purposes, if different. Then it gets respect with some of his insights, and now we have science tolerated later. But what he said is that alchemy is actually the sublimation of things. That is from one. It's almost like the best way to understand alchemy, according to that man. Now, he didn't give me this analogy, but according to that man's statement, is that from water to go to from ice to water to boiling to water to ice. That's alchemy right there. That's actually alchemy in itself. Life itself is actually alchemy all the time. That's probably a better word even than chemistry, because chemistry and physics, if you actually were to break down those words and what they refer to, those disciplines, chemistry and physics, it's almost redundant and interchangeable at one point, because you don't have the dynamics or viability of physics without the actual viability and dynamics of chemistry to give you the actual sensation of matter, which is appreciated as having motion and energy in physics. But it actually is, in essence, chemistry that is different degrees of like charges. Polarity is polarity. But that, so all of life is polarity, and then like the interaction and the ranges between that, and then what's consistent within that, the patterns within that are your different fields, and that gives you all of life right there. That actually polarity is actually all of life right there. Attraction, repulsion is all of life, maybe in difference too, but attraction and repulsion, that gives you chemistry, but also physics, which also gives you chemistry, which also gives you physics, which is all polarity. And then that gives you life right there on top of within that, up to all the way up to the humanities and literature. Because what is literature interesting without real actual romance? That is opportunities for living and dying and loving and suffering. That is attraction and repulsion. The bullet gives a repulse from the gun, then it gives you a story of romance and stuff like that. And that's like, because if you watch the movies from the 90s, if you went to the movie store in the 90s, it says gun 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 gun, gun. Everything had a gun on a picture of it. But that's a lot of like repulsion in like a physical sense for the storyline. But then that would give you some different love and like real consequences, because like I think the function of those guns in all those movies in the 90s was just to give them actual weight and consequence, to make this thing, these actors on the screen, make it more profound, this acting that they're doing, like, oh, this is really acting now, because look what happened to that one, or might happen to that one. So the actual gun, and you can almost say that gun is like that now, because like a lot of our life now, man, what is life, man? What's to eat tonight? What's for lunch? What's for dinner? You know, everybody, good guy, bad guy, cop, robber. What's for dinner? Even if we're doing substances and stuff, it's still for dinner. What are we having for dinner? What are we smoking for dinner tonight? Hey guys, what are we smoking for dinner? How are we gonna get dinner? We gotta get something to smoke for dinner tonight. So everything is just actually just eating a lot. Things are just actually a lot of eating, and then you eat well enough, you get put up well enough, and you get onto just things that are just a little bit more bougie, some of your other needs like that. But it's really just like eating all the time. But then also you got to make life interesting. You got to have a little drama in it, because what's life without a little melodrama? Just throw a little gun in there, or the hint of a gun, or the suggestion of the viability of a gun, where you have gun shop, gun shop, guns all up and down everywhere, inside and every which way, every cabinet, every car, every crawl space, every visor, everything got it, this one, that one. So it sends some reason that somebody could get fucked over pretty bad, as they didn't plan to one day or night. So then life actually has a little bit of drama in it, but otherwise it's just the stupid same shit. Just what we're gonna eat tonight, what we're gonna smoke for dinner tonight. But so like the movies were like that too. But all that sublimation from water to ice to vapor to water and or ice to water and or ice to vapor again and or water and or ice. That changing what to go to something different while retaining an essence and or not, and go back to something different, and then to go from the essence to any other iteration and back to the essence, or some other iteration of an essence. That's alchemy. And so But so if all I'm saying is like, okay, so if we were in, so if you so when you're born, then how old are you when you're born? Are you zero? So you say you're a few months old, but you actually had already existed because you had been gestating. So are you actually the age of, is your real age that of your conception? With it, so if you're, so say you're, they say in certain cultures, like I think in Asia, one of the most beautiful birthdays is 62. I think that's like the age of wisdom, like 62. If a person can attain to that, there was a person in my, when I was being like courted by some of these youth outreach programs that would like entice like young people to participate in religious forums, in like indoctrination. They would say that by the time that you get to be 36, you're truly an adult because you've lived at least 18 years as a member of majority. So you lived at least 18 years beyond being 18. Maybe if you want to go by that strictest logic, you could probably say you'd be completely grown when you'd be actually 39, because when you're 39 now you've been 21, you've been 18 for over 21 years. Or actually no, you could probably say 42. If you're 42, you've been at least 21 for at least 21 years. Now your ass is grown and shit. 42. Yeah, man, how old is that guy anyway? 40 fucking 2. That guy lives with his mom. 40 fucking 2. 41, that's like, you're 41, man. You can be an old bachelor now. You're an old bachelor. You probably got some tricks up your sleeve right now. You scot free and you ain't fucked up bad enough, and you can still get up and down the opportunities and that. I ain't putting nothing past you 41 and shit. Yeah, you got daddy how you live against your mom. You know you made it on this couch over this and that. But 42? 40 fucking 2. That ain't right, man. Yeah, you are not right. 42 is too old to live at home. You are not right. But you're really grown at 42 because you've been 21 for 21 years. But they say in some other countries in Asia, when you're 62, you're that's like a age of wisdom. So maybe by the time you're 62, you've been 21 for 21 years twice. So your ass is grown, and you're damn well grown. So first, by the time so you're grown at 21, you're well grown at 42, and then maybe you're, no, wait, no 61. Is it 61 or 62? It might. So by the time you get to be so 20, 42, so 21 is 21. 21. I'm not trying to take shots at a great rapper, but I'm just saying. So you turn 21, you're grown. You can do anything, and anything can happen to you, and people ain't really mess up about it. 21, grown and shit. Then 42, you're well grown. Well grown. You survived 21 years as a 21-year-old. You're well grown at 42. Now, 42 plus 21 is not 62 or 64, but I think 61. 42 plus 21 is 61, and I'm not mistaken, it maybe actually be 61 or 62 in certain countries in Asia. That's like an auspicious birthday. That means like I don't know how something can be auspicious. That means promising when you're already 62 because you've done a lot of living, but it confirms that you've done some auspicious living or had some auspicious times if you got to be 61. So now you're good and well grown. You're damn well grown. So you're grown at 21. You're well grown at 42. You're damn well grown at 61. If you make it to be 82 now, essentially you go 21 to 40. It's not 21. 21 is 21, 42, 61, 82. When you're 82, you're good and damn well grown. You're 82 living there with your mama? Damn, you must have been taking care of her. She's still alive to take care of you. You're damn well grown. You're damn well grown. Now you get to be 101 now because you go, it ain't 21, 21, 21. No, it's 21. 42, 61, 82, 101, 101, dog, 100 years being grown and shit. You're good and God, dear dog out. You're good and damn well grown and shit. So the good part is 21. No, grown is 21. Good is 42. Well is 61. Damn well is 81. No, 80. No, I'm sorry. Grown is 21. Good and grown is 42. Good and good and grown is 61. Damn well good and grown is 81. Damn well good and grown and shit is 101. Damn well good and grown and shit. Damn well good and grown and shit. But if you were damn well good and grown and shit, 101 and shit, are you not actually also 101 and 9 months and shit? damn well good and grown in 9 months and shit, because you had been already in gestation in utero for likely at least 9 months before you had been birthed to then proceed to become 101. So you're good and damn well grown you're good and damn well grown, and somewhere between 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8, heaven forbid, and at least lower end of 8, but hopefully, likely, reasonably, well about 9 and a few odd weeks and shit by then. But were you dead before that? So, because death is forever, right? So when you were born, is your real age, was given to you, like your age on your ID, or is it the actual moment of your conception in the womb? But that too, if your parents conceived you in the womb, but they and their organs had already been conceived and well developed enough as to sire children by the time you were grown, that actually may not be your conception. That might be your inception, right? You were in but you weren't. That was in your because the would be the first ever iteration, sample, specimen of existence. Is the first the granddaddy mama daddy maybe it's the mama daddy the dan dada mama the dan dada the dan mama don mommy on Dom Corleone Dom Mamioni Lucy. So you may not have been actually conceived when you think your parents were getting ready to have a mistake, heaven forbid, a beautiful mistake. Actually, if you're writing a song, so like your best ideas in a song are actually, wait, what was that? Wait, no, wait. Okay, bye, Mr. Wait, but no, bye, Mr. Joe Mott. Is that it? No, Joe Mott. So by the time your parents have this many siblings, they're trying to have this many. Bye, Miss. You say accident, but I think they knew what they're doing. You say accident. I say drop. I say bend over and drop something quite enjoyably and pick it up quite enjoyably, if anything, and maybe stand up and sit down at the same time too while doing a handstand and patting your hand or patting something else. I don't say that's necessarily an accident, but you want to say it's an accident, but that even if your parents had an accident that had you, that wasn't necessarily your conception. Their parents' first mistake. But I'm saying you actually write the coolest things. As sometimes when you're doing a song, the mistakes are actually the best ideas when you're doing it. So I'm saying that even if a person, heaven forbid, was a mistake, that's actually the best thing, is the mistake like that. Better than what you intend is what you didn't intend, but you got around to do it while doing what you otherwise were enjoying to do. But so your parents' mistake, that is you, the cool mistake while writing the song of you. Wait, what are we doing, honey? Oh, that's cool. Let's name that Guantanamera. But that was your inception. What your parents did was your inception. Your conception was this existence itself, conceiving itself, which is also you. You're this little existence. You're a little universe in them. Hey, where's little? Is that a cool name for something? Universe. Where's little universe in them? Where's the universe? Where's the universe? Hey, universe! Hey, get back here. You gotta go to school, universe. Universe, get back over here. Get over here, universe. Hey, man, what's up with that fool universe, man? When is the universe mama ever gonna let him come outside, man? Man, I can't stand the universe, man. The universe is always doing this and that, man. When is the universe ever gonna act like a grown up, man? We gotta go to school, man. We gotta keep waiting on the universe for it, man. Why we gotta keep? But the universe moves when it moves, man. When the mom of the universe says the universe moves, that's when the little universe is about to move. But I'm saying is that, were you dead before your inception, or were you dead before the universe's conception? And either way, what does it mean to be? If death is forever, how could this universe have been conceived or inseminated? How could you had your inception, or the universe's conception before not having been existing? Is that not also dead to not exist, but still somehow viable to yet then at one point exist? So when we die, are we not possibly then viable to yet at one point exist? And or when we die, is that final, as in finito, as in out of here, as in finish him, as in what the hell did happen after they had finished him? Where did they all go after that? But if it has grand finale, finito, over,